Romania Digital Nomad Visa Office wants to see €5,600 a month in income before they even open your file. That part is public. You can find it on the consulate's page in 5 minutes. What you won't find listed anywhere is what happens in the 6 months after they say yes. The visa gets you in the door. Everything after that, the residence permit, the tax registration, the renewal, is yours to manage, and almost nobody explains it before you land. In the next few minutes, I will explain where that 5,600 actually comes from, what the embassy doesn't tell you about the paperwork waiting on the other side, and what your first year on this visa really looks like once the approval stamp is just a memory. Start with the number everyone quotes. 5,600 a month is arbitrary and is linked to the gross average monthly salary, and it's got recalculated every year, so the figure you see this year won't be the figure in the next year. It's gross income, not net, and has to be income that you can prove. 3 months of bank statements plus either an employment contract with a foreign company or proof that you run your own registered business. A freelancer with inconsistent monthly income has a harder time here than someone on a fixed salary because the consulate wants to see the number land every month, not average out of over a quarter. This threshold rules out more people than it lets in. A huge share of remote workers who actually show up in Romania never apply for this visa at all. They come on a standard 90-day Schengen allowance and leave before it expires, then come back. That's different videos worth of trade-offs, and I've covered some of those in the earlier episodes. This one is for the people who actually have already made the decision to move in on the digital nomad visa and get the yes. You apply at the Romanian embassy or consulate in your home country, not after you've already arrived as a tourist. That mix-up trips up more people than the income threshold does. Romania has an online e-visa portal for some of the early steps now, but most consulates still want the full paper file in person and by appointment. Processing time depends more on which consulate you're using than on anything the official guidelines tells you. So building in a real buffer before any move matters more than the form itself does. And at some point you get the long stay visa sticker in your passport. That sticker is not your residence permit yet. It's a ticket to enter Romania and apply for the annual actual permit once you are here in person at the immigration office. A lot of people don't realize there is a second application waiting for them on the other side of the first one. Once you land, the clock starts on registering with the General Inspectorate for Immigration, IGI. You'll need an address in Romania already lined up because they want a rental contract or proof of accommodation as part of the file, not a hotel booking. And the first residence permit that they are going to issue is good for 6 months, not 12, 6. This 6 month window matters more than it sounds like it should because extending past it requires something the initial application didn't, an income certificate from ANAF, Romanian tax authority. To get that certificate, you have to actually be in their system, filing as a tax resident, which for most people kicks in once you have spent more than 183 days in the country in a given year. So, the visa that let you in as a remote worker on someone else's payroll in someone else's country ends with you formally inside the Romanian tax system within your first year. That surprises people. I'm not an accountant, and if your income is anything more complicated than a single salary from one employer, talk to one before you're 3 months from your renewal deadline, not 3 days from it. I've lived here for 3 years now, and I did have initial support from a consultant to file with ANAF. Now, 1 year on my own, I still understand that ANAF side of the story is one of the more difficult to figure out, not in the least because it's Romanian-speaking system. Rules are very open, they're written down, but because getting, for example, an actual appointment slot can take longer than gathering the documents, it can be tricky to plan the time. So budget weeks for that step, not days. From there, the permit renews in stages, 6 months, then longer stretches, up to a maximum of 36 months before the before you need to look at a different long-term residency route. Each renewal means another trip to IGI, another set of documents, and another wait. None of it is fast, and none of it is described anywhere in the original visa announcement, because the announcement is about getting in, not about staying. Once you're approaching the 36-month ceiling, the conversation shifts again toward Romania's standard long-term residency route, which in turn which run on their own separate rules and timelines. Nobody plans that far ahead in year one, and that's fine. Just know that visa that got you here isn't designed to be a permanent answer on its own. If you've got a family, the income math doesn't stay flat. Bringing a spouse and a child along means showing additional income on top of your own threshold, and the exacted on amount shifts with the same annual recalculation as the base figure. So check the current number rather than trusting whatever you read last year. Since I have moved here with my family, husband, daughter, and pets, I understand that the paperwork for the people in your household rarely get the same as the visa for you. If you're at the stage of actually preparing your file, a few things will save you weeks. Get any foreign documents, birth certificate, marriage certificate, criminal record check, apostilled before you leave your home country. Doing it from inside Romania takes longer and costs more. Line up private health insurance that explicitly covers Romania before you apply. The consulate checks for this, and the generic travel policy often gets rejected. And sort out your accommodation contract early, because you can't register with IGI without an address, and you can't get the residence permit without registering. None of this is free either. Beyond the visa fee itself, factor in apostille costs per document, translation fees for anything that isn't already in Romanian or English, and the insurance policy itself, all before you spend €1 on the move itself. It adds up to a few hundred euros in administrative cost alone, separate from flights, deposits, or anything else. While you are shuttling between appointments, IGI, ANAF, the bank, the rental agent, you'll want a working SIM before you've sorted out a local one, especially in that first week when everything is still in motion. I used Airalo for this. You load an eSIM before you land, and you're online the moment you land, without hunting for a kiosk at the airport. You can find the link in the description. The visa itself is the shortest part of the whole process. The part that actually determines whether your first year goes smoothly is everything I just talked you through, and almost none of it shows up in the official guide. If you are working through this right now, subscribe, because next week's video covers the 5 things I was really surprised about when I landed in Romania, and I wish I knew before I arrived. If you've already been through this process yourself, I genuinely like to know what surprised you and how you went through it. Please drop your tips to the others in the comments.